And actually, I was in gymnastic class with my daughters where I do conditioning, and Grant, he played for the Eagles.
Yeah.
He told me like, "Oh, you meeting my boy today?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I'm gonna see
yeah.
him a little bit." He was talking good about you.
I told him I was like, I have to come to Costa Mesa today, and then he was like, "What are you coming down here for?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna jump on Cheeto's podcast," and he said, "That's funny. I train with Cheeto."
Yeah, we have the same coach.
That's funny. I have to. I got to show you something. So I had watched your sizzle reel last night, and the part where you were talking about your daughter hit home for me because I'll show you this. You met my daughter
Yeah.
downstairs. That's
Wow. That's how my daughter was when she was born. Like
yeah,
she was just covered in 1,000 things.
yeah.
What she was born with?
She had a really she had gastroschisis. So
Something gastrointestinal.
so her bowels were on the outside, but her diagnosis was like
Holy shit.
her diagnosis was about like 95 percentile severity.
Oh wow.
So it was like it was it was bad, but it wasn't. We had no idea how bad it actually was. So that's when I seen you going through your stuff with your kid, I was like, yeah, I understand all of that because that's not, unless you experience that, it's kind
You
of a
don't know.
hard thing to go through.
It's heavy because me and my wife had Price Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few players' stats. You can play Price Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best of all, Price Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you will get $50 just for playing. Use promo code Chito and download the app now. Our first kid, when we were like, I was just about to turn 18, she was 17. And we went through all this, like telling our parents, kind of like big drama, then you're not allowed in the house, to like, okay, we accept it, you guys are a couple, we wish you guys the best. Due day, in Ecuador, the neighbor come to the fucking room. It's like this little like living room. All my family, all my uncles, my cousins, her family, everybody's drinking. That's how they do it out there. Baby come out and they go. Some genetist, the person that it's a doctor for genes.
Mm-hmm.
She came and she's like, we need to talk. And
That when the baby was born.
when the baby was born, so the baby was born, the baby passed by us. They bring her to the room and like immediately took her out. No one can see it, and we're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I saw her coming out, like everything was normal in my eyes, and then the genetist came and said, like, "Well, we need to talk about it." And I was just everybody just turned pale, and we were like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And then when she told us her condition, we were like, "Fuck." Like, first of all, what that means?
Yeah.
Because Mobius syndrome is like 1 in a million. And we were like, is that something similar to Down syndrome? Is that like something with the brain, with the body? We started Googling on fucking Blackberries,
Yeah.
and we're like, what is that? And, if you Google, the first cases are
everything-
the worst
yeah,
ones.
yeah.
Kids with no arms, kids with like missing pieces of the face. And we were just like, I was 18. I was like, what the fuck? This is my first kid. What's going on? And it was hard because it was like the way your daughter was, like, full of tubes and 100 cables in each fucking finger. It was like for 3 weeks like that. So we weren't able to have her until they like check her on daily basis because of the syndrome. The muscles in the face are not working because of the two nerves on the right. I believe they're never working. She couldn't swallow milk or eat normally. So it was
So her
almost
stomach didn't work then, huh?
the stomach work, but they can
Yeah.
suck, so they cannot drink from the titty.
Yeah.
They cannot drink from the bottle.
Yeah.
So you almost have to keep the bottle up
That's the same thing with her.
and make a hole big enough to like drop.
Yeah.
It was just hard.
As soon as because I hit Rod and was like, I've obviously known you from fighting, and from other things, from streetwear and stuff. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, me and this guy got a connection on a whole nother level.
Yeah,
You know, even what you
100%.
just said about the feeding, it was like, man, I remember all of that. It's like the kid has to like relearn how to eat
Everything.
on its own. Yeah.
Because her whole face pretty much doesn't work.
Mm.
She can move her mouth. Like they have one expression. Like she can cry or she can laugh. It's one expression. And there's this one surgery that they can do around 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That is only to connect the muscles from the cheek to the muscles in the, how you call this part?
Like the temple area.
The temple area, because these ones work. So it's a gnarly surgery.
Yeah.
When I'm gonna get into it in a little bit. So, we got 4 years to raise the money eventually and do it. I was fighting, trying to get to the UFC and start making money. And, you Google that, I found the doctor, Andre Panosian, which is the guy that
In Ecuador or here?
in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
So we contacted him. We have like this Zoom call with him. And, back then, I don't even have a bank account.
And at that point, you're living in Ecuador?
I'm
or you're
living in
here?
Ecuador.
All right.
So I contact this doctor. I'm like, hey man, like how this work? He's like, well, simple. I cut her whole face, and I connect these muscles that don't work to these ones. So it's called the surgery for the smile. So she's gonna be able to smile. And I was like, I have to do this. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm gonna be 40-year-old and she's gonna ask me why you never did it
Yeah.
or something like that. And I was like, okay. So that was the moment I took everything in my life serious. I left this life and I started this new life of like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna work to get there eventually. And when we asked him, well, so how much is this? We were just like, all right, seems like we're never gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like because there's the price of him working on her,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the price of anesthesiology,
Yeah.
the
facility.
place.
Yup. Yeah.
So we were like, okay, I guess I need to start fighting pretty often. So,
Fuck.
and these were when we were in Ecuador. So
18 years old.
18
too.
years old. So, at the first 3 months, everybody's checking on you. How's the baby? But
Yeah.
eventually, people move on, life keep going, and there's a point that it's only me, my wife, and our family, kind of like dealing with the pain, because you're like, you see the baby, it's like, fuck, the baby doesn't deserve that. Like the struggle to eat, the struggle, like we have therapists coming every day, do massage in the face, do we did every
Everything.
kind of anything to see what work. Really, honestly, nothing really work, but it's just the hope that you have as a dad. It's like, I'm gonna make this shit happen. I'm gonna figure it out. But it's hard because eventually you like, there's a point of the day that you're by yourself and you're like, why my kid have this issue?
That's what that reminded me of last night. Like, it took me back of, I had it with her. I had it took me like 5 years to exhale from all of it. She was in and out of the hospital for 2 years. She probably had easily like a dozen pretty gnarly surgeries. At one point, we thought that she had an ostomy. It was never going to get closed up. She was going to be living off of with lipids, injected in her arm. Like you don't know.
You don't know.
Like that uncertainty is like the scariest thing in the world. And as you said, it's like once some time goes by, you're by yourself. And
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to for me, I love her. I was never like regretting having her, but to me it was like, it was hard to accept because I always, like at the beginning, now of course, you mature on things and you figure it out and you move forward. But at the very beginning, I was like really just not accepting the situation. I was trying to picture her because, how would it be your face if this wouldn't be your issue? How would it be your life? How would be your personality? Like she's 13 now, so I was like, the first year for me was like,
how old is she?
13.
Okay, same as Amelia. What's
Same?
her birthday?
April 4th.
Okay, she's December 9th.
Oh, I'm the second.
Yeah. Oh, get out of here, damn.
So I was like, for me it was like, it was because I can tell how much my family suffered in silence also, because it was painful for them to see her like that and see us as first time parents being that young trying to figure it out. And I'm like, how we figure this out? Like, you know, she would like back then she would like if she were to cry for anything, she would like no I don't know if this is purposely or part of the syndrome, but she would like almost choke on her own. She would cry so hard that she would be like, huh! And just stay like that, and then everybody started running out, beating her back, trying to calm her down, and she just turned purple, and then she let it go, and we're like, oh, thank God you're breathing now again. But that the first 6 times that happened, it was like, oh my God, is she gonna die? And then, with the time we'll figure out, okay, she's just mad, she's gonna breathe on her own because she's not gonna kill herself. But the first times that it happened, we were like freaking the fuck out, throwing plates, screaming. You
kind of become a pediatric doctor yourself.
You start figuring out a lot of things. That's why when I met someone that had a kid, like if I'm doing like a meet and greet or I go to a place, most of the people that I relate the most, some people come with a photo, it's like, hey, I feel you, this is my kid. And I'm like, fuck, come on, let's hug each other. Like, it's like, because if you don't have a kid with an issue, you don't understand where your mind goes, because you start thinking and you start like trying to like figure out why this is happening.
Her doctor had called me. We found out when Emilia was, I think, 12. Devin was 12 weeks pregnant with Emilia. And the doctor called me, and then she said, I need to talk to you. Is Devin with you? And I said, no, why? And she's like, that first ultrasound we did, she's a peanut at that point. And they're like, there's something wrong with their stomach. And we're pretty sure it's gastroschisis. I never heard that word in my life. No fucking clue what gastroschisis was. But instantaneously, I felt like I was in, like, Scooby-Doo. Like, I just felt my whole equilibrium just spinning. Like, how... Because then you start questioning everything. Like, why the two of us are in great shape. We're not bad people. We weren't, like, partying when we conceived her. Like, why would this situation happen to us? And then me having to explain to her, because the doctor was like, Jimmy, I would prefer if you told her, And she had a show in Vegas. The doctor told me right before we were about to leave the airport to go to her show. And I was just like, how am I going to keep this in? Like, I don't want to tell her now either. So finally we got to, I think, the Palms. And I was like, we got to talk about something. Sit down. And then I just explained to her what it was. And she didn't know what it was. So she's thinking, is this Down syndrome? Is this something with her limbs? And I had explained to her, this is like a gastro issue, and then just sit there and hold her and hug her,
And I feel for the mom, it's going to be hard because they're the ones that have them on their stomach.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about your lady.
I mean, I think they take the hardest hit because for you guys knew in the stomach. For us, was like everything was perfect, and then when we were waiting for her to come to the room, you were like, I remember everybody in the room, my mom, my dad, my uncles. This one like, because when the doctor came, it was like, you guys want me to speak in front of everybody or should kick everybody out?
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, no, everybody here is family, just go for it. And then when the doctor speak, everybody just went, oh, fuck, there's no celebration today.
Yeah.
Like, everybody sit down, bottles locked, and we were like, I was just kind of like, because at the time, I was already fighting, so I didn't smoke cigarettes anymore. I went downstairs, went to the store, was smoking by myself, and then my cousin came down, and he's like, you good? And I was like, just looking at him, I'm like, what do you mean if I'm good?
Yeah.
Like, they just told me the worst fucking news of my life. It's like, I know, but you want me to stay? I'm like, yeah, stand up here and just... And he's like, you want to talk? I was like, no, don't talk, just stand by. Yeah. And I smoked like a whole
I would have probably
20-some pack.
Yeah.
I just went through the whole pack, and I was like, holy shit, I haven't smoked in 4 years. Because when I decided to become a fighter, I was like, everything is away from me. I'm just gonna focus on this. But that day I smoked like, and I smoked like for a while after that
Mm-hmm.
because I was like just trying to figure it out
Yeah.
why I was put in that situation.
My mom would always say, I don't know. At that point in my life, I wasn't super religious, but she would always say, God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. And I would just always be like, well, why the fuck would God give me this? You know?
That
Like, I don't know if I can handle this, and I don't know, you don't know the level of uncertainty when you're dealing with your own kid's health. It's like
it's
that's a
heavy.
scary place to
It's
operate
heavy.
out of, yo.
And
Yeah.
and when I was researching what the syndrome was, I was scared because most of the cases that I see online were like kids
Yeah.
missing limb or kids that have to go to surgery every other month, and I was like, why am
Yeah.
going through this?
You
Like
can't go. You can't even look on Google because it's like it says bring all of the worst
yeah,
diagnosis and
I,
worst case
I was just
scenarios.
like, why I'm here? And then
Yeah.
my same thing, my mom, everybody, like all the moms around me were like, got this, got that. You gotta pray more. Let's go. I started going to church way more often
Yeah.
and stuff. And then I was just like, then you ask the same question, why, why this?
Yeah.
But I guess the answer you can only find when you go and knock his door.
Yeah.
So, but eventually, my whole thing about it was, if I work crazy hard and I put everything aside and just focus as much. I mean, she's the reason made it this far.
Yeah.
Like if she would have probably been normal, I don't know where I would have gone. That changed my whole perspective on how I approach things, how I treat people, my work ethic. Like before that, my dream was to be in the UFC,
Mm.
but after her, it become like a crazy obsession of like not missing days, pushing myself, and the pain of dealing with that has got me through any smaller issue that
Yeah.
I could have in my life till today.
Did you wrestle and stuff in high school?
Nothing. We don't have
That's
that
what,
in Ecuador.
that's what I was. I was like, man, I was curious how you had gotten into fighting, and I was like, because I wrestled all my life growing up. To like, I skated and wrestled up until my senior year of high school, and then skating took over. Um, but fighting is one of them things. The UFC always scared the fuck out of me. Just
Same.
mixed martial arts in general, because I'm like, man, this is such a gnarly sport, and I'm always curious what lanes and disciplines get people into the cage. So that's
So
why I was
for
curious for
me,
you.
we don't in Ecuador. I wish we have like in the US that they have so many sports like in deck for the PE class and stuff like that. Our PE is like play soccer or track
Uh,
or play soccer.
just,
So
yeah,
it's just soccer.
yeah,
And I still love in playing soccer. I like soccer. I watch soccer, but I was never like I wanna be like this soccer player that is the best of the country. I was like I admire him. I was like fuck yeah, but I was somehow I get in fights in the street since I have memory. Like with the kids from the streets, we're like playing soccer on the gravel, and then someone talk shit, and next thing you know, I'm swinging and getting my
boxing.
ass kicked because they're tougher. They got more experience in the street. So most people thought like after the 10th time I got my ass kicked, I would have stopped.
Just kept going.
I just kept going, and going to skating. All my friends, I grew up surfing and skating, and they all were fucking good, but they all were good kids. They were like take it seriously.
Yeah.
I would go to the skate park, have a cigarette, a beer, and just be like,
Just kick
yeah,
it,
sure,
yeah.
you guys skate. I wait for a fight. And then if something happened, like if they're skating the ball and this guy throw the skate at my homie or whatever, they would get mad. But before they come upstairs, I was already punching the guy.
So was there an older cat or like a coach that was like, bro, I've seen this is one too many fights in the street. You got to
So that's my neighbor.
come get in this gym.
So my neighbor, I'm still close friends to them. They have a beautiful like hostel in the beach. He turned his house into a hostel. I grew up surfing with them, and in Ayampe, this beautiful place. So the older brother, one time like literally like drive by my house, which is like 2 houses away, honk, and said, dude, get in the car. And I was like, dude, fuck off. Like, what are we doing? I'm gonna take you to a jiu-jitsu gym and you're gonna get killed. And this is after
So that was the first discipline, was jujitsu.
that was the first day ever.
Okay.
So he's like, dude, a few weeks ago you get thrown in jail for fighting in the street. Last year you got thrown in jail again for throwing bottles at a guy. It's like eventually you run into the wrong guy. Luckily to me, it was all fist fights, like 10 versus 10, just fucking Royal Rumble in the street. So this guy put me in the car. He gave me like a gi, give me my white belt. He was like a white belt, like 4 stripes. So back then, if you have 4 stripes, you beat anyone in the street.
Yeah.
So he took me to the gym. There was this Brazilian guy, he was my first coach. He's still my friend today, Soluso. And then I walked to him and I was like, yo, I'm here because I want to become a UFC fighter. And he's like, he looked at me, he's like, go to the back of the fucking line and start doing fucking the bear crawls and all that shit to warm up. And I was like, no. I signed up, I pay. He's like, most people come and took few classes before they pay. No, I brought the check already. It was like $60. I already paid. I bought a gi. And I was already watching UFC, so I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to do this.
What year was this?
I was 16 years old. So I'm 32. So 15 years ago.
Gotcha.
Jimmy, get that mic just a little closer.
Yeah.
And I won the first day. And I remember back then 6 to 7:30 was like beginners class. Mm-hmm. So like blue belts and white belts. And 7:30 till 9 was like advanced, like the purple belts. And because back then they weren't black belts back home. It was like only like 3 black belts and 20 competitors on blue, purple, and few brown belts. And I would stay for that class on my first day. And then the coach came and was like, yo, what are you doing? Go home, kid. I'm like, no, I'm doing this class too. He's like, yeah, but they're all pros. I'm like, no, it's fine now. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
So like, white belt, I have no idea what to do. So I would get in there and just fucking grab the gi and just extremely aggressive, try to like do things that I don't even know what to do. They would have beat the fuck out of me, like take me down, knee on Bailey, choke me out. I would have come like a pitbull again. So I was getting tapped out like 10 times per round.
That's funny, yeah.
And then since that day.
But they're like, this kid's psycho. He's not stopping. He
exactly.
keeps coming. A logical person would be like, yo.
Well, no, the coach was like, you know what, dude? Yeah, keep coming.
Yeah.
From that day, I haven't stopped training till today. But like back then, I was going Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
No work, no school. This is it, just fighting.
I mean, I was in high school still. Right. So I was going every day, 2 sessions a day in the afternoon. A year later, I get my blue belt. I started competing, everything. And once I graduated from high school, I actually fought my first pro fight when I was in high school at 17. So I faked my mom's...
Not jiu-jitsu, in
MMA,
in a cage.
In a cage, yeah. You can pull that one off. It's just type my name and find the oldest video.
What is the transition from like rolling jiu-jitsu to actual fighting in a cage look like?
Well, extremely gnarly because jiu-jitsu is a cute sport.
Yeah.
Locking yourself in the cage is crazy. So how it has happened, this event in Quito in the capital, the main event was needing a fight. But they never told me it was a main event. They never told me it was against an experienced guy. They told me, like, yeah, it's type Chito Vera against Rommel Orozco.
Against who?
Romel. Just type that.
And this kid had been fighting already.
He's a pro kickboxer. He's a grown man. I was supposed to get knocked the fuck out and go home. So the guy came to the gym. He's like, yo, there's a fight in 2 weeks. You want to take it? I say, sure. What's going to happen? I'm a street fighter.
You got no idea what you're getting into.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, my God.
So one of the main guys from the gym flew with me to Quito. We get there the same day, Saturday, no weigh-ins, just show up to the event. And I was extremely scared. But I was enjoying being there.
Yeah.
So we get to this place. It's the back of a mechanic shop. They just put like sheets to cover the cars. The cage was like 4...
Wait, no arena?
No, no, no.
Where did you say it was at?
In the capital in Quito,
But where was the fight being held? In the back of a...
mechanic shop. So there's 4 panels of metal fence, puzzle mat, and gnarly fights. Because in Quito, they're all kickboxers. So they were beating the fuck of each other. And I'm looking, because the locker room was his fucking office. And I was just looking, because they told me, you're fighting a kid like you, a skinny kid, kickboxer, blah, blah. I was looking for my opponent. I was like, where's this pale, skinny kid? I couldn't see one. When my opponent showed up, braids, fucking chest, abs, I was like, he haven't fought yet. There's only one fight left. I'm like, yo, who I'm fighting?
I'm sorry for laughing.
And they say, see that guy out there?
Oh my god.
And I said, the one that came with with his 2 kids, and he's like Jack. Yeah, he's not very good. I'm like, that motherfucker looks pretty good to me. I was shitting my pants. So back then, there's no wraps and shit. Someone borrowed me some sweaty gloves, put the gloves in, put the mouthpiece.
Is there a ref in the ring at all?
There's a ref.
All right.
But that's about it.
But he's not really there
To save anyone's life.
Right.
No. So, last fight before me finish. Okay, you go in 3 minutes. There was quite a crowd. There was like at least 100 people sitting on benches. And, I walked to the cage, which it wasn't a cage. It was literally a dog cage. It was just 4 panels of fence. The fence was coming up in all edges. So if you go near the cage, you get caught.
Oh my god.
No, that's in Peru. That one right there. That one.
I can't find the other
Just
one.
go to YouTube. Go to YouTube.
That's funny, yeah.
These assholes pull our shit, but we're still using them. Go to YouTube and type my name against Rommel. Romel. I just want you to see the difference of a kid and a man. It's gnarly. You found it?
16 years
No.
old.
I can't-
17.
it's not coming
17.
up.
Type it. I find it for you. Put it here. Ask Andres what was the name of that event, because I have the name in my fucking mind, but it went away right now. But yeah. So that was my first fight. It got kind of like a setup, and then the first round, the guy came out, threw a spinning wheel kick to my face. He, thank God, barely greased my nose, and I went, whoa.
You're like, this is it.
What is that? So I run to him like a zombie, try to get a hold of him to hug him. He tossed me like a kid, with a judo throw me on my head. Then once we're in the ground, I was like, okay, this guy don't understand much jiu-jitsu, so I kind of like survived. First round was over. I went back to the corner and I was just, arms were numb. I was dry, out of breath, because Quito is like high altitude too. I was like, what's going on? I was telling my guy, like, yo, pull me out. I don't want to do this. He's like, don't be a fucking bitch. We're already here. Ding, ding, second round. I was like, yo, I don't want to do this. He's like, go and fucking fight. I said, okay. Second round start, I just dive for a takedown, close eyes, just hugging his legs, get him down, and eventually get an armbar and won by armbar. But
Get out of here.
it was like, whoa.
What was the incentive for this? Was there any money on the line or anything?
I got paid $85.
No way.
Yeah. And then we spent that money eating some burgers later on.
That was the purse. The full purse was 85.
$85.
Your first fight.
My first fight. And then my second fight was $200.
And at that point, so at this point, Anna's not born yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Anna was born on my second fight.
All right.
If I'm not mistaken, but
Damn, so it was when you had Anna, your fight career was early then, huh?
yeah, I was like not even
So this
close.
wasn't a situation at all. This is like,
yeah, like my dad was helping me to survive. Like they would throw like 200 here, 200 there to pay rent and
no
few groceries
way,
shop.
yo. This
Yeah.
is way gnarlier, Rod. Like you could tell how gnarly your situation is from the reel, but to hear it from you,
like back then, I don't had a job,
Yeah.
and I was just full-time training. Sponsors will give me like 200, 300 when I had a fight,
Yeah.
kind of like to cover like flights and shit. But
yeah.
normal living, my dad was like, okay, I'm gonna support you, but I'm gonna give you no money. So between my dad, my sister, and my wife family, they were like pitched together some money to kind of like pay the rent, which back then was like probably like 200, 300 top. And then my mom would send some groceries. But most of the time I would just eat to my mom's house and then go back to my house, open the fridge, is nothing on. The next day she would send some fruit and shit. But I was like, I knew like I was living limited, but also I was so grateful I was able to train full time.
Yeah.
Then moving forward, I already had like few fights in South America. I was kind of like popping out. And then my dad told me like, hey dude, I love you. I support your career, do whatever you want. They didn't like fighting because of my background. I was a troublemaker, so they thought fighting was a way to avoid a real job or college. So they were against it. And it was like September. And my dad told me, look, dude, if this UFC thing doesn't work by December, you're on your own. You can either work for me, but you're gonna work for me.
Can I ask you a stupid question?
Go
and
for it.
Please forgive me if this is a naive question too, just because I don't all the way know the trajectory of like the fight career. So if you're in Ecuador, is it like do I establish myself as a professional fighter in South America, considering like how big fighting is in Brazil and stuff, just from what I know? And then is it like once I'm established down here, I see if these cats in the UFC will recognize. Like, what does that path look like?
Back then,
Back then, yeah.
now it's popular. Now people get fined easily. Back then, there was no Spanish-speaking people in the UFC. It was Brazilians, Europe, US.
Gotcha.
So for me, people around me were like, dude, what's the oof? They don't even know how to say it. There's like, they don't know that exists. They were like, dude, just get a job. This like, because a lot of rich people back then used to train jiu-jitsu. They still train today, but they were like, bro, I get your job. You're a nice guy. I get you like a corporate job. You will have to like, do some shit. I was like, no, dude, this is my dream. I'm gonna achieve it, blah blah blah. But back then, it was really a coin toss. Like, how they found me, it's because they come out with the first Ultimate Fighter for South America. But it was kind of like a setup because the first UFC in Mexico were coming. So they picked the best 8 guys from Mexico against the best 8 guys from South America. So it was me, 2 guys from Colombia, guy from Argentina, guy from Uruguay, guy from Panama, and 1 from Nicaragua.
This was a pay-per-view card or
No,
something?
this is the Ultimate Fighter, the reality.
Oh, the
TV show.
Gotcha.
So they make like this email, like, hey, send your info here, and we're gonna select 20 guys, and then we're gonna chop it down to 16. I send the email every day, like at least 50 times, so I can be on the top. And eventually this one guy replies, hey, motherfucker, I see one more email from you. I'm fucking deleting your information.
This is nuts.
And I went, well, he noticed me.
Yeah.
I say, fuck it. Eventually, I was supposed to...
This is what you got to do to get on, man.
Exactly.
If you care about this, that's how I was with skating, was like, I know every photographer, I know every videographer. These are the guys to get in the mags. I'm going to hound them every day. I would lie and tell photographers, I'm going to try to backflip this like 15 stair rail. I had no...
But
if I could no slide it, I would have been lucky. But that's what I would do just to make sure I clock some time with them,
So I went to take a photo to send to the promoter in Mexico to defend my title, and this is like November, and my dad already told me, December, you're on your own. I was leaving the photo shoot. My friend took the photos for me. And I sent to the promoter in Mexico too.
You got 1 more month on
I have
your
1 more
dad's
month.
clock.
At least on money. On Monday I had one
Yeah.
because I know my dad. That was it. I was driving back home, and I get a call from like a U.S. number. You know, I'm in Ecuador. That's the first time ever a random number call like that. Because in Ecuador, you know the numbers from your country.
Yeah.
So this was like a +1. I was like, what the fuck? So I pick up and I said, hello. It's like, hi, hello. Hey, this is the UFC. I crash.
No.
I hit the curve. The two front tires explode. The bumper came off. I was like, fuck that car. I turned it off.
Yeah.
I was talking in the middle of the street. People honking at me like, because I was so like, would you say you're the fucking UFC?
This is like the opportunity of a lifetime on the
I was in
phone
the
right
middle
now.
of the fucking street. You're like, who's this? And cars honking. I was like, fuck you. And I'm like, if this is a fucking joke, I'm gonna fucking beat the fuck out of, because there was a point I was like, oh, this is my friends laughing in the back, having some random dude talk. No. We are the UFC. You are being selected to the Ultimate Fighter. I left the car as it is with all my stuff in the car. Just get a taxi from the street, go see my wife, and I was just fucking screaming.
This is it.
And then I text my dad. UFC called me. Don't. We're good.
Don't give up on me, Dad.
He probably went like, fuck me.
Oh man.
So after that, I have to flew to Albuquerque, New Mexico to do like tryouts and train with like a pro gym. I got my ass beat every day. Every day for 3 months. Destroy, rape in jiu-jitsu, in wrestling, in striking. I was like, whoa, I'm fucking green, because I didn't grow up with
Yeah.
any background. But then we flew to Vegas. They, test our brains, blood tests. Few guys test positive from doping. So the list started getting smaller. So there was a point I was like, okay, now I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already part of the South America team. That's how I got in.
Damn, yo, that's a trip.
It was a trip.
Let's talk a little about your early skating days too, and like, does any of that resonate with you? What Chito just shared with you?
Man, 1,000%, yo.
How your skating career went?
I was man, I grew up skating when I fell in love with it when I was like 6 or 7, and it was something that it kept my mom, I was raised by a single parent, and my mom worked 17-hour days, and she kept trying to get me in different sports just to keep me like occupied, keep me safe, keep me involved in something. But skating kept coming back to me. And as I got older, like 9th, 10th grade was when I was like really falling in love with it. And around that same time, the skate scene in Philadelphia was blowing up. So it was like, all right, this thing that like for the past 3 or 4 years that I've like really been honing in on, it's like the biggest scene in skating is 15 minutes from my house at Love Park. So I would just go down there. I get done school, I go to Love Park every single day after high school, every single day on the weekends, and it was all my favorite pros there, and all the skateboard media and stuff was there, all the magazines, all the videos, and it, like, I shit you not, there was a skate spot across the street. So you had Love Park, which was like it was like a city kind of plaza, perfect ledges, stairs, everything. You had City Hall right across the street, same thing. And then over here in the intersection was a building called the Municipal Building, which had this huge rail. And back in the day, you could skate City Hall and Love Park, but you couldn't touch Municipal Building. And this rail was perfect right there. And it's like kind of like out of like a fucking movie, like Saturday afternoon, all the big pros are there. And I saw a window where the security guard wasn't there, and I did one trick on that rail. And it ended up in 4-on-1, and then ended up in Slap Magazine. And at that point, kind of all the pros that I was like badgering there at that point on kind of took me under their wing. Helped me get a couple sponsors, one called Aesthetics, which was like the main board company I wanted to skate for. And but the same thing with the videographers and the filmers. I would just badger these guys because I knew back then skate mags were huge, And like that was kind of how you had to solidify yourself. So, man, I would just, like I said, just tell these guys I could do anything, you know? And it almost kind of,
Make you do anything.
it did, yeah. Like I would trick myself into trying shit that I could probably never actually try or do, you know?
But to get the opportunity to get shoot by those guys.
Yeah. So and I just ended up in more and more magazines, and then some business shit happened. We got the owner of Aesthetics. He had a partnership with Zoo York, so we all went and skated for Zoo York for a while.
That was a cool brand back
Yeah,
then.
Zoo was huge, man. And then that kind of fizzled out, and my mentor, kind of like my best friend, he started working with Pharrell Williams when Pharrell started doing Ice Cream and BBC, and they wanted to start a skate team. And about a year prior to, he had asked me to do it. And at that point, I was like, you know, Pharrell was, you know, it was hard for me to kind of see his vision and wanting to do something in skate. But a year later, I came back and I was like, hey, is that opportunity still available? And thank God he said yes. Because at that point, it was like Pharrell's career started to like take off, and BBC and Ice Cream started to take off, and that just kind of changed my whole life from there. You know, it was like Pharrell would have us, we'd be in Japan at the Bape store, or he'd be at like the American Music Awards, and it was like the first time that this like group of skaters was like with this
Mainstream.
Yeah, this A-list musician.
Why you think skate translates so much on all the fashion brands and streetwear? Like, I don't see, like, there's a million surfers, there's a million soccer players, there's basketball, but a skate, you can be a regular skateboarder and, you know, you made it to the top in a way, but they translate to all these brands. And now that you have a brand, like, I mean, I come from the same. Like, I would say, like, my fashion came from skating. Like, baggy jeans, all holes everywhere, they and becoming cool. But I can see, like, all the major brands, they have a skate shoe that costs over $1,000.
Yeah.
But it's made from an old Osiris, an old DVS, an old one Airwalk, and you go, so these ones are $60. And the same thing, it costs over $1,000.
It's funny that you said that you're saying that, because I was thinking about that on the way here. It was like, if you have a brand, how do you even compete nowadays when, you know, Louis or, you know, whoever, Balenciaga, they've now downloaded all of these ideas, design ideas that were shit that we came up on. You know,
in the 90s. It's like now you see like almost the same exact shoe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little different here and there, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. I just look at it, you know, I think with skating, and I'll always wave the flag for skateboarding. I think skateboarding, and this to me, it's out of all the action sports, it's like there's just something that is you can't replicate it, you know, like the difficulty of it. I think the way that skateboarders look at the world and their view of things is like through a lens that can just kind of read through the bullshit. You know, it's like, I mean, when you look at what skating is, same with UFC, it's like, you know, they're pretty fucking brutal activities. You know, it's like you're choosing to put yourself through like a level of agony that's like, you don't have to do this.
And the fallouts are gnarly.
We got alternatives if we want, but the way that our brains are wired, it's like that's, you know, this, unfortunately, this is what drives us, you know.
But it gets people pumped out. Like, I went to Riley's Hawk premiere the other day, and, you know,
he's so good, yeah.
He's great.
He's so good.
They put, like, you know, him and his buddies put this film together, and he did it himself. He did everything himself. But they also put the parts when they eat shit, and you go, holy fuck. Like, rails, people going neck upside down, front flip, landing on your balls. You go like, holy shit, that's a fucked up sport. and there's no fucking padding in the ground.
Yeah.
There's no padding on your legs. It's like you eating shit, but that's a gnarly part that makes people go like, wow. But somehow that one sport transcend
Yeah.
in fashion so much.
When I was, I'm older now, but when I was a kid, like, late teens, early 20s, I realized I had this lens of like the way I looked at things where like I was like, man, and it was through skating. It's like, man, we can just kind of read through the bullshit, like we know how to, I don't know, from fashion stuff to the way people skate to like just even the way that people are, it's like you can't, I don't know, you can never just show up to like, I couldn't just show up to Love Park and be a kook back in the day. Like those guys, I saw guys show up like that and get sent packing within like an hour or two. Like I saw like my neighborhood hometown hero show up to Love Park and get clocked, for no fucking reason other than the guys were like, this guy's a kook, beat it. Like, I don't know. It's a difficult thing to explain, but that's why it's also why it kind of makes it difficult to digest what you see nowadays. It's like, skating has gotten so blown out. Like you said, like, and it's tough for me because I love kids having an opportunity. I think, the more people we can feed off of it, the better. But then at the same time, it's like once it becomes so commercialized, it's like this thing's not ours anymore.
It's becoming fake too.
Like I love that kids can skate for Nike, but I hate the fact that there's no more DVSs. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no more skater. There's, it's only but a couple skater.
It's like the main brands just pay you a little more. Now all these brands that create all this, they're like out of business.
Yeah. So that's a difficult pill to swallow, but I guess that's the name of the game in any culture,
Because I was talking the owner of Ednis, it's my neighbor.
Don. He's the man.
The guy from France?
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, Pierre, yeah.
And sometimes I would like, when I met him, we were talking about skate, and I haven't realized that he's the owner.
Yeah.
I saw him wearing Ednis and stuff, and I was like, dude, I fucking grew up with that shit, and I find photos, like all photos, like wearing like beat up or all Ednises, and what's the other brand that make the bigger shoe that is also owned by Ednis?
S.
Yeah. I was like, bro, having ES back in the day was like impossible. I was like, I own the company. You want a pair? I say, fuck yeah, I want a pair.
Yeah.
I don't even wear them. I just look at them.
And he just had to sell the company, and he got shit. It's difficult because like the economics of it, it's like I couldn't imagine being in that position, having to keep financing this thing.
Because these older monsters just out-muscle you.
Yeah.
But like those are the brands that make what skating is today.
Yeah.
So now a brand like Louis Vuitton create a sneaker and call, I believe they just have like Zion Ride.
Who's that?
Zion Ride.
Zion, right?
Oh, Zion. Yeah.
It's him the one that's skating for Louis Vuitton right now, or is it a different one? Tyshawn. Yeah. My bad. But like brands like that, now if a brand like DVS or Cyrus or Ennis come like, you want to do something with it? It's like, I don't know. Those guys are paying fat bread.
Yeah.
So in a way, yes, they're capturing the main guys, but they're gonna probably kill the next generation.
That's another thing with skating where it was like, back in the day, skaters kind of dictated what was cool, and skaters weren't jockeying to get looks from other people in other places that also had, I hate saying this word, fucking clout, but it's like now you see a lot of kids in skating that are like, they're willing to compromise. Like they won't wear they'll wear some other shit before they wear the shit of like the brand that's like paying them or they're skating for. It's like it's a different level of acceptance out there.
They get attached to the cloud now.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, that guy's doing that. Yeah. I'm gonna do a crop top too now.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, you see the one guy that cut the jeans like right below the knee, like wear a crazy tee. That was like you say, oh, whoa, that got a crazy style. But
Yeah.
now, since they see people transcend into fashion, they go like, fuck, how I get there?
Yeah.
But again, I think they're killing the small brands, which were the ones that were pushing the guys to become who they are today.
Yeah.
And eventually they won't have too many. Or maybe they have more. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a difficult time, man. It's like, yeah. Again, I love seeing these kids have the opportunities that they do. You know, I like, you know, and don't get me wrong. I love Nike. I love Adidas. I love New Balance. I love all these big brands just as much as they do. But from the era that we grew up in, it's like those. You know, we had our skate shoes, and then we had our chillers. You know, it's like the chiller brands took over that skate shoe section. And then even from like the board brand perspective, it's like you have all these little tiny board brands, and it's like, you know, I don't know. Our era, your board brand dictated who you were and how the community thought about you. And now it's like the board brand is like put on such a back burner. It's an afterthought. It doesn't even matter who your board sponsor is anymore, you know, and that's a difficult pill for me to swallow, you know, but I don't know. This isn't my era I don't know how these kids do it nowadays. It's like, I'm thankful for the time I came up in it, because there was a lot more, morals and values, you know,
Back in the day.
back then, you know.
I think with everything is kind of like that too. Which direction you went with your brand and how long you started?
We started, man, it's interesting because we started back in 2011 and then stopped in 2015. Bless you.
Thank you.
And then we picked back up in 2017, and it was a cool. My partner had carved out a really neat situation for me, you know. So he created Standard Issue, which was just to be blanks and just to fill, you know, like this was coming off of like the heels of like American Apparel and stuff going out of business. So we were like, yo, we don't have no brands that filled the gap that those brands did, that American Apparel did specifically. So he's like, we can do this basics thing, and then underneath it, you know, he's like, Jimmy, all the stuff that we've done with JSP, which is all kind of derived off of skating in Philly and shit that I grew up on. He's like, I'll let you explore whatever creative avenue through JSP. So when I look at the sum of it, it's like it's rad because it's allowed us to live in a lot of different zones and worlds that, like, I don't think a lot of brands have not the flexibility, but have been able to, like, you know, like we did a collaboration with Albino Preto.
Oh, sick.
So we did like a JSP and Albino Preto. JSP is like Philadelphia Skate. Obviously Albino Preto has their position in the jiu-jitsu world. And then we had like LeBron wearing that hat. You know, so it's like just connecting these dots that, you know, I don't know, that I don't think a lot of brands could maneuver like that, you know. And then, or doing stuff with like, you know, this doing stuff with Vans and getting like old writers that I know from Philly to put together like the graphics for the outsole, and then working with the new generation of kids skating there. You know, but it's all sweatsuit based. And then just things that have kind of like inspired me over the years. So
yeah, the rider things on shoes probably came out sick.
Those were good. I that one I had to tread very lightly on because obviously the writing world is like,
it's crazy. I love that part. All my graffiti friends, I'm like, yo, teach me how to do more because I love to do that.
Those are the most cutthroat motherfuckers too, you know. So like out of a place of respect, even the young man that did the letterings for me, before I even hit him, I called all the old heads that I knew he grew up under, and were like, yo.
That's like the military out there. They have like this guy.
Yeah.
You cannot just call this guy without this guy approval.
So they were like, no, Jimmy. This is a rad kid. He was a Love Park kid. and he was a writer at the same time. Love Park ends up getting shut down by the city and by the police. He loses skating. Skating was a thing that was kind of keeping him out the streets. And once he lost skating, he kind of fell victim to everything in his neighborhood. But he was always an amazing writer. So I was like, what a cool opportunity for me to circle back to him all these years. Luckily, he made it through all the shit, substance abuse, whatnot, and came out of it on the right side. And I was like, what a cool thing to circle back to him all these years. Now he's got a kid, and to give him an opportunity to work on this shoe with me, which I'll get you a pair. And
Sick.
But like you said, like making sure all the checks and balances were there, because the writing communities, they're cutthroat,
because there's there's ranks on them. Like one of my friends from out of the country came, and a few of his friends from LA were here, and he called me like at 9 p.m. Say, yo, you wanna go tag? And I say, with you guys? Fuck yeah! And they were putting like their logo, like whatever their signs are, next to what they write. And I kind of like I was making a million questions. I said, well, this means no one fuck with these ones. And then because in the tagging world, no one goes over nobody.
Yeah.
Because it's disrespectful. And they were like, we put our current name next to our thing, so no one fuck with it. And then I was just in the back, and then eventually one guy said, hey, you wanna put your name? I said, fuck yeah. I just went just write my name in big.
I think I know who your friend is too. He's from Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We'll say it off camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, now because I was visiting out there, and he was telling me how close of friends you guys are.
I love that guy.
Yeah. But those writers, those kids in Philly, when I was coming up, I was like, these are the kids that I don't cross in a bad way. Because the writers are
they're gnarly.
They're gnarly,
They're ready to go. And one of the guys in there from LA was even telling me a bunch of his stories. The way he write his name, it's very similar to a gun name. So he was writing something in LA, and 8 guys just pull guns on his face, and I was like, dude, I'm just fucking tagging. I have no criminal record. And they almost beat him up, and I was like, dude, why are you doing this situation? I'm like, just explain them as much as I can, and just tell them I'm a normal dude writing shit on the wall. I don't belong to any gangs. They make him take his shirt to see tattoos, and they kind of believe him. So it's okay, you're good for now, go. But it's a fucked up world, because you can be writing and these gang members think you're writing something against them. Yeah. You're dead.
Yeah, no, it's a trip where we live kind of by Dodger Stadium, and that was I've been coming to LA since the late 90s, early 2000s. And where we live at now, there's a lot of neighborhood stuff that obviously went on far before I moved into the neighborhood. And but this has been my first real clear understanding of there's writing, but then there's neighborhood writing. And artistically the shit is beautiful too,
It's
and I'm
pretty
always
cool.
just don't fuck my crib up, please. Yeah. But it's once a year I'm just out there with the roller,
taking it out.
But
yeah,
that's
but
funny, man.
it's crazy how they keep those ranks, and it's that's what if I I got some panels in my gym that I wanna fill. I don't even hit up directly to a writer. I've tried to figure it out who's the main guy of these guys, and I text him. I'm like, hey bro, do you have anyone that would like to come to my gym and paint it? And I can find some budget for it. But I never go directly, because I have heard that this it's the military.
Yeah.
And there's different crews too.
That's your gym in the reel? In the scissor reel, Rod? That's Chito's gym you have in there?
No, his gym's not in the scissor reel.
Right.
That was... I'm trying to remember which gym that was.
When Ruka was open?
We didn't do much in Ruka.
You have your own personal gym?
I have my own gym. Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
That I don't have to deal with bullshit or laws or people's fucking... How you call it?
Drama?
not just not it's not drama the word, but corporate people.
Gotcha.
Like if you training a gym that is owned by a brand, there's gonna be some sort of problem at some point. Like, hey, here's a contract
Yeah.
for what? But I open my own. I don't
And your
have
whole
to-
staff and team lives all here?
yeah, everybody's around here. My main coach, my grappling coach, my wrestling coach, everybody's here.
How big is your team, if you don't mind me asking?
I have my main coach, Jason Parillo. He oversees my life pretty much. My jiu-jitsu coach is Guy Mendes for Art of Jiu-Jitsu. He's like one of the most condecorated jiu-jitsu guys in the world. My wrestling coach is this younger than me guy that he happens to be a great coach. I have a good mind. His name is Danny. My conditioning coach, he have his own private gym where I met Grant today. His name is Rex. And I'm missing anybody? Oh, that's the team.
You forgot about me, bro. Moral support. And you also forgot about the Mimas.
Well, my two neighbors from back home, they live here too, and one of them work with me.
Oh, that's it.
And then, yeah, this guy.
They're like
Clemson.
they're childhood friends?
Yeah.
I keep. I probably play the biggest role, to be honest.
I figured that.
No, that's Coach Perillo. We would never take anything away from him.
Was
But
it
Roddy helps.
was
he
your
passed me the scenes.
when your career started to take off, did you have a lot of old friends that were wanting you to bring them along the ride with you?
The people that was there is still there.
Yeah.
Like I haven't had like a friend that I'm not friends with anymore.
Alright.
Like the one guy that eats in my corner, Andres. He don't say much in the corner, but he's I know him since high school,
No way.
and he works with me. Like he's like my right hand. Like
Damn.
he does the stuff that I can't do, or if I'm in camp or I'm being a bitch because I'm cutting weight, I'm like, yo, can you please do this for me?
Yeah.
And then his brother, he don't work with me, but if I need something, he will get it done.
What's your weight at right now?
I weighed this morning at 155.
And what's your next fight you got to get down to?
135 May 2nd.
Okay, so that's not too bad of a drop, huh?
I mean, I'm already lean, so
You don't have much though.
what really hurts is the last 4 pounds. But that hurts to everybody.
Yeah.
Really. So weight cuts just suck. That's
What does that weight cut look like for you? Is that like a month build up before you're getting to weigh in, or is that like 2 months?
I like to get myself to like 149, 150 at least 10 days before the fight. And then the week of the fight, I push my weight down to like 146, 147. And then Thursday night, I tried to cut all the weight and sleep dehydrated. That's run. Most people want to like cut the weight the morning off and go straight to weigh-ins. The problem with that is like, what if you don't have enough time?
Yeah.
Now you miss weight.
Weigh-ins for a Saturday night fight. What day is weigh-ins?
Friday from 9 to 11
Okay, so
And
your
then
body you got 1 day to readjust.
to put everything back
Yeah.
pretty much. But like
30 hours.
30 hours.
By the time you get in the cage, is your weight generally back?
Yeah,
up
I'm
to
fully
normal?
back. I'm like
Alright.
155. But it's still like what you did the day
Yeah.
before. You have to have some damage,
Yeah.
you know. But I try to do it slow, nice and
Yeah.
calm. But most of the time I leave like 3 pounds for the next day. But then that's stressful, dude.
Yeah.
Because you know you have to make it by this time.
But also, you want it to come off as late as possible, and you want to be at 135 for as short as possible.
Yes, that's scientifically
Yeah.
the best thing to do. But sometimes if I can make 137 the day before, have a sip of water, go to sleep, and float a pound, that's
You're
ideal.
good, yeah.
Because there's a window. You know, weigh-ins close at 11, and if you don't make weight, there's financial
Yeah.
repercussions. There's
I remember my senior year, I wrestled. So my high school was always nationally ranked in Pennsylvania wrestling. So I would always get stuck between two kids that were like nationally ranked. So my senior year, I came in around 150, and I got stuck for the postseason wrestling 125. You got 2 pounds, so 127 by the time sectionals comes around. I didn't make it to states. I got eliminated in regions. That Monday, though, I was up to 160. So it was like from Saturday 127, Monday 160. I came in just looking like
Just
fucking
puffy. Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Marshmallow Man. Yeah.
Like there's guys that they make the weight on Friday. I mean, Paddy Pimblett, like a week later, he's like 190, and
No way.
He fights at 155.
God damn.
He
Yo.
gets huge. Like you can even recognize. Like
Is it okay to talk fight shit with you? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. This is what you do.
Yeah.
It's like,
type
I
like
just love this shit, yo.
type
I
like
got
Paddy
you.
Pimblett when he's fat. It's crazy.
Yeah, let me see this, yo.
And he
He
claims
goes 190 to what?
to 155.
Oh God.
No, but he gets huge. And
Here's a before and after.
No way. Yeah, yeah.
look at Bailey.
Look at that six pack versus
That's
that face.
insane, yo.
He's known for that. Like he make almost like a name, like a brand of that.
God.
Dude, this is crazy.
Bro, he
What
cut
the
some
fuck?
weight. So that's in camp, the first one.
Bro.
I mean, that's
He tapped out King pretty quick in that last fight.
Yeah.
That was sick.
He's good.
that's not
Yeah.
a good angle.
Damn, yo.
No, he cuts mad weight.
So, Jimmy, I'm just curious before
Yeah.
we wrap up.
No.
Like, as you were building your brand, was there a moment or a celebrity or athlete that decided without you knowing to wear your clothes, or like how did you guys pop off? Because I know like LeBron wears your stuff.
Man.
There's Instagram photos of Jay-Z wearing your stuff. Like, what was like the turning point where all those guys started wearing your clothes?
Put the brand up there.
Yeah.
Which one should I pull up?
God, for it's tough because I like all this shit. Like I watched LeBron since high school. I remember he came when he was in high school. He came and played another Philly high school in ball. I was at that game. I just was always a massive LeBron fan, and the way that the world worked out, and I met his business partner. Me and his business partner clicked real well. So his business partner then connected me with his stylist. This is a crazy story. Just go to the Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Standard
Just
issue
Instagram.
Instagram?
Just Instagram. Yeah, just standard issue. When we were talking about our kids earlier, so I meet LeBron's partner, and he goes, we got this movie coming out that we worked on called Smallfoot. He's like, your daughter want to go to the premiere? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to take her. So we go to the Smallfoot premiere. Yeah, it's just Bron in the shorts on the right. We go to the Smallfoot premiere, and my daughter's freaking out. Zendaya's there. She sees LeBron. She's seeing all these like celebrities and movie stars, and we're leaving. And she lived in the children's hospital at UCLA. Those surgeons saved her life. The doctors there saved her life. We basically, we would be sleeping on the floor in air mattresses. Me and my girl would have tall cans in there because we were like, this is basically,
Home.
we'd be running, the perimeter of UCLA. Like, that was our house. And I'm walking to the car, and I run into LeBron's stylist, who his business partner connected me with. And we just sat there and talked for like an hour. I told him about Emilia, about her life there. And, he just was like, look, whatever you guys got going on with clothes, here's the address. Just send it here. And this was probably in, I don't know, January, February. And then LeBron had just joined the Lakers. And he shows up to Summer League to watch all the rookies and stuff. And he's just in all of our shit.
That's sick.
And I was just freaking out. This was summer of 2019. So then, look, you just keep like, bro, he has that picture with his wife right there, the second row. They were watching their son play at his high school in Ohio. And it's like that photo of him and his wife is like,
Went crazy.
It went nuts. Like the amount of times that he's worn it to games. That one on the bottom was these sweats that we had made for just one over, Rod. We had made them for the Sixers. The Sixers denied it, so I kept the logo. And then he wore it to NBA All-Star in Chicago in 2020, right before the pandemic. Went to Virgil did a court for the Boys and Girls Club in Chicago, and at the YMCA, and he wore the sweats there. So like, yo, he wore them so much over the last 5-6 years that like I feel like people stopped giving a fuck. But to me, every time he does it, it's like the first time. It's just like, I don't know. I just look at it as like a kid that grew up skateboarding outside of Philadelphia that has like one of the biggest ball players one of the biggest athletes
of all time
wearing this shit.
That's crazy.
So can I see the Jay-Z picture, Rod?
Yeah, I'm having trouble with Instagram, but is it on the website, you think?
You know what? Google just Jay-Z Brooklyn Museum.
I could pull up the thumb. Here, give me 1 second.
Fucking Roddy, get it right, dude.
Here, we can. This'll work.
But that one, yeah, because I was always such a massive Jay-Z fan. Because, like, at the height of his career, he, like, so many of the rappers on his label were from Philadelphia. His partner I met in 2012, and Jay's partner is a gentleman named Emery. 2014, 2015, I was probably I was definitely depressed. I was coming off, I was trying to find my life after Emilia's, all her health complications. Devin is a singer. I just watched her go through all of the gnarliest stuff that the music industry could put somebody through. And career wise, I had nothing going on. And honestly, like those two would go to bed, and I would just sit on the couch or on the porch and just like slug beers and smoke cigs, because I was like, I didn't really know what to do with myself. Like I knew I still had something to give, but I just didn't know. I'm like, do I just go get a regular job now? You know what I'm saying? Do I go, like, honest to God, do I just like go, apply for like a city job?
And it's hard for someone that grew up doing something in the sports.
For sure, yeah.
Then you're like, no, what? I don't want to be a normal person anymore.
Nah. When Amelia was sick, it was like, Devin, I already know what you have sacrificed for our family. I know what you have not jeopardized, but I know what you've put us before your career. Anybody else would have said, nah. It's like biggest record in the world on the radio. Why would I want to start a family now? So, the fact that that's what she wanted to do with us, I was like, all right, I'll take off of work and just figure this out. Coming out of it though, I didn't know what to do. So, when I was at my low, I met this gentleman named Emery, who's Jay-Z's best friend, and this guy helped me find my way out of that trudging, and that black dark space I was in, and I've never asked him. I know that that's his best friend. Obviously, one of the most iconic individuals in music and popular culture. And, so we made this sweatsuit for the Brooklyn Museum. And I said, Em, I would never ask you this, man. With all due respect to your relationship with Jay, but I just feel like this is made for him. It's like, it says Brooklyn Museum on it.
Right.
And he was like, all right, just send it over. And we took Amelia to London for spring break. I went to bed one night, and I woke up, and she was like, yo, your phone was blowing up, And I just didn't think anything of it, and I picked it up, and it was because he wore it to a Brooklyn Nets home game.
So that just went crazy.
Yeah. And I just was like, what, like I couldn't have written this like a script that would have said this is what it was going to happen. Like,
you just have everybody's telling you something.
You got Biggie and you got Jay. Like, they're the faces of Brooklyn rap. And we made a sweatsuit for the Brooklyn Museum, and he's wearing it at a Brooklyn Nets home game.
That's crazy.
And I could walk away from this space completely feeling fulfilled and content with what we've been able to put together.
But those are the moments that shape things.
There was another gentleman that had helped us put this project together. His name's Coltrane Curtis. Coltrane has like one of the biggest marketing firms, especially in our space, in the worlds that we love. And he was another guy that was like, I like what you guys are doing with Standard Issue and JSP, Jimmy. Like, let me figure out some plays for you guys. And he had helped put that Brooklyn Brooklyn Museum one together. So
It's
I
a
definitely
sick
would
track
say
suit.
it's tough though, man. It's like these are all people that I grew up, idolizing. Jay, LeBron, even like our Eagles project that we just did. Jalen Hurts wore it religiously. The head coach, like a lot of people that just as like a little skate rat, it's like I'm sure at one point you were like, yeah, there's no way. I don't know, or maybe you had a vision of seeing yourself where
I
you're
mean,
at today, but
sometimes no, I still tripping. Like
Yeah.
when I'm in places with people that I grew up thinking I would never fucking even walk by, and now we're like sitting on a table laughing, drinking wine. You're
Yeah.
like, whoa, who put me here?
yeah.
I mean, it's crazy where
The lives like you were saying with your team, like these are careers, livelihoods. I'm sure these people have families. That's a beautiful thing to be able to create that, not only just for yourself and your family, but also other people.
I mean, I've been like, for example, I've been in New York, and my friends been with me, and we end going to like this musician that we grew up idolizing. He's like, and I'm like, oh, let's go to so house. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, yeah, we're going to his house. I'm like, no way. And I'm like, you just cool.
Yeah.
And they come and they're like,
it's hard not to though.
it's
It's
hard,
yeah,
but
yeah,
for me,
yeah.
but this is like the 5th, 10th time that I've been with them, so it's normal now. We talk over the phone, call, and they go like, dude, we're here. I'm like, yeah. It's like, dude, I grew up,
Yeah.
listen to you. You're my favorite, and
That's sick.
and I laugh because I'm like, yeah, that was me the first time, but you never thought. There were points in my career that I'm like, okay, I'm probably will never make it, and then you wake up another day, you're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
I make it. Life is crazy.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here, yo. I know like I've seen a lot of people, especially in like the streetwear space, that really fuck with you. I've seen a lot of the different campaigns that you've helped people with, and that's an extremely gracious thing for you to do, loaning your credibility to their brands and stuff, and obviously that comes for them. I'm sure it comes from a huge place of appreciation. But there's a lot of people that I know, and they always spoke highly of you. It's still like my lady's old man. He's the one that put me onto UFC, and like watching your career grow in that space, and seeing the person that you have grown within it and it's cool to be able to sit here and
Thank
rap
you, bro.
to
Likewise,
so,
it's great to meet you.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm like, a friend asked me like, dude, when this clothing thing is on, I was like, I don't know how
Yeah.
I end here. Like, I did one photo for a friend one day, and then the next year's this brand called me, and I'm like, are you sure you're calling me?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm like, holy shit, I love clothing. Fucking.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
let's
yeah.
just
Hey.
let's do it.
Well, shit. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you, bro.
having me.
Appreciate you.
My brother.
Thank you, bro.
You got it.